where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome to the stream, everyone. A lot's been going on, and you're gonna get a sneak peek of what I'm gonna lead with on the program this morning, because I think I figured out what Trump's been up to, okay, and what he's doing, because a lot of things have been happening in the last few days that are confusing to people, including me. But I think I know what's going on when you start to put all the pieces together, okay? And this is what I'm going to go over, is what I'm going to lead with today when I go live at 6 a.m. Eastern. And I do want to take calls on this. When you see someone do things out of character, or things happening that are out of the norm for them, you know something's going on, right? So there's been a handful of things that have happened in the last few days that are out of character for Trump, okay? Last night, there was a meeting with Netanyahu, right? President Trump said that he's sending more weapons to Ukraine. That's one. Yesterday, of course, we were talking about all the Epstein files that's come out with that, which was just crazy. I mean, it caused a whole day of discussion, and people are still discussing. There's a lot of confusion going on. Charlie Kirk yesterday had really kind of like an emergency alert on his program, which I'm going to play some of on the program this morning, about something Trump was doing and has talked about and is doing that is totally out of character for him. And it involves the amnesty. Well, I shouldn't say amnesty. I don't know if amnesty is the right word, although Charlie Kirk used amnesty. But he's giving some sort of amnesty to illegals. That's what he's been talking about, who work on farms. All right. And he talked about this, actually. President Trump brought this up at the rally on Thursday, and he's mentioned it a couple times before. So those are three things that are really out of character, right? This special amnesty thing for farmers, the Epstein files, and arming Ukraine more. So I think I know why he's doing these three things. Now, my first thought was, I'm not going to tell you what my first thought was. Those of you that are watching, why do you think Trump is doing and involved in supporting these three things that are out of character for him? Why do you think? Why do you guys think he's doing that? And not only that, he put out that post on True Social praising Bongino and Kash Patel after the Epstein story all day. Why do you think that is? Well, somebody said food cost. It is true that part of what he's talking about with the amnesty for the farm workers, they want to do that over a transition because it would cause massive food inflation, which would be devastating. But that's not the main reason. Why do you guys think? He's got a reason. Everything that Trump does, he does for a reason. Think about it. Okay, what about this? What do you think Trump's number one priority in this second term is? Out of everything, what do you think his number one priority is? I want to see if anybody gets what I'm thinking. I want to get into detail about this on the show this morning. You guys get a little preview. The number one thing on Trump's agenda. Now, the liberal trolls, your opinions are meaningless because you can't even think straight. I'm talking to the MAGA people. Those of you that are MAGA people, what do you think President Trump's main goal is, his main objective is in his second term? Because these things that have happened since Thursday, all three of them, I think involve that. Peace, legacy. I'm not going to read the ones from the liberals. By the way, if you're new to my channel, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. Peace. You know, these are in wars. These are all things on his agenda, but it's not the main agenda. What? All right, think about this then. All right, that's. I mean, I'm surprised no one's gotten what I've been thinking. What does President Trump view as the biggest threat to the United States? What do you think? What is, from Trump's viewpoint, what is the biggest threat to the United States? What do you think? Economy, Mueller, liberals. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Now, you guys, this is what I'm going to lead with at 6. I'm going to go through this in detail and take calls as to whether or not people agree with me or not, and if they agree with Trump doing this. Okay, so since Thursday, Trump has done and supported 3 things that are completely out of character for him. Last night with Netanyahu, he was asked by a reporter, and he said that he's sending more weapons to Ukraine. With the Epstein story that came out of the FBI yesterday from Kash Patel and Bongino and Pam Bondi, he put out a post after all that controversy yesterday, praising Kash Patel and Bongino for their great work, right? And then on Thursday at the rally, he brought up something that he's mentioned a few times, and that is a limited amnesty for illegals who work on farms, okay? Now, the ones that work on farms, you can make a good logical case that needs to be a transition, because if you took all the, sad as it is, farm work, a lot of it has to do with illegals, and if we deported all the illegals on the farms, it would drive food prices up, which would be a disaster for people. But that's not the reason. So this is what I believe he's doing. Over the weekend, I thought it was so strange how happy Lindsey Graham was. I saw a few pictures of Lindsey Graham. He was grinning ear to ear. He looked like an insane person. And then last night when Trump was with Netanyahu and said he's going to send more weapons to Ukraine, it started to all connect the dots. The Charlie Kirk thing, everything, the Epstein thing, the praising of Patel. I believe that President Trump's #1 agenda item is there's many agenda items, and they're all important, but the most important is bringing down the deep state. Now, I remember Judge Joe Brown, I talked about this on my podcast last night. Judge Joe Brown was talking to Alex Jones yesterday and said that the Epstein release had to do with Trump trying to bring down the deep state. He was somehow holding it over the deep state, blackmailing the deep state. I don't think it's blackmail. I think President Trump is negotiating with a lot of the powerful people in Washington, D.C. to bring down the deep state completely, bring down the deep state. So these other issues, which are everything he's doing is important, but these 3 particular ones I'm talking about, as important as they are compromises he is making to bring down the deep state, in my opinion. You know, the Ukraine money is big money, you know, and you got to ask yourself if that's, you know, the deep state, I mean, that's certainly is a big threat to the country, to the people, to our freedoms, to everything. So if that's what his end goal is, if his main agenda is bringing down the deep state, which really runs the government, has been running the government for at least since the end of the Second World War, maybe before that, would you support him doing that? If he's made these 3 concessions, more weapons to Ukraine, right? This case closed on the Epstein files, an amnesty for illegals working on farms and have a transition for them to, for the farmers over time. Would those 3 concessions be okay with you? Those of you that are MAGA, would those concessions be okay with you in exchange for him being able to bring down the deep state? So that's what I'm getting out of this, and that's what I'm going to lead with at 6 o'clock. And I will be taking your calls. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. A lot of these other issues, as they're all important, but you're just putting band-aids on the problems of the country if the deep state's still intact, right? So if the deep state is taken out of the equation, right? If they lose their power, if they're dethroned and deposed, that's like a cure. I got a sneeze coming. Hold on. The air conditioner is blowing in my face. Thank you for the bless yous. So I'm always going to stand and support President Trump with what he's doing. No, it's deal making. To bring down the deep state, he's got to make deals with powerful people in Washington. I would say that if my theory is correct about his agenda and what he's doing, I'm fine with that. I'm very fine with that. Aren't you? If not, why not? Exactly. The air conditioner was blowing right on my face. It's aggravated my sinuses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, think about it. If the deep state is left in control of the country, everything he's doing will just be reversed. I mean, if that's what he's doing, I think it's a fair compromise. If you're looking at the big picture. Oh, those robot vacuums are a joke. I've had 1 or 2 over the years. The robot litter cleaner and all that stuff, junk. Now, you can't trust Lindsey Graham. Can't trust Lindsey Graham. Project 2025 is a liberal fantasy. Yeah. Has nothing to do with Trump. But that's what it looks like is happening to me. Mm-hmm. And I am perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. Mm-hmm. You got to do what you got to do. You've got to. You've got everything in life is a compromise. If you want to be successful at something, right? You got to compromise with people. If you don't compromise, you won't get anything accomplished. He's not a dictator, Trump. If he were a dictator, he wouldn't have to compromise. Yeah. AI should be banned. Having dirt on people helps you. Extortion, yeah. If people that, compromise is a negotiation, right? So people that don't compromise, don't negotiate, are unsuccessful losers. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's easy. It's easy to say no compromise when you're sitting at home not participating. You know, but if you're doing big things with big, powerful people and organizations, you got to make deals and compromise, or you'll get nothing done. Right? Sure he does. It's the art of the deal. The art of the deal is compromising. Compromises is the art of the deal. That is the art. So yeah, that's business. That's what the art of the deal is about. I think if that's his plan, it's a pretty good one. Well, I'm going to lead with that at 6. I will be taking your calls about it. You know, because it's got to be talked about. We got to put in context what's going on. You know, this is, you know, things have been developing a lot in the last 24 hours. And these things are coming out constantly. Now, if he doesn't dethrone the deep state from their power, what good are all these things? Right? What good are all these things? Everything will go back to normal if the deep state is still in power. You know, so, you know, you got to think a little rationally, not so emotionally. You know, a lot of, you know, you want immediate satisfaction. You know, you're thinking like a liberal who need immediate satisfaction all the time. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, guys, okay? This is where MAGA comes talk, and I think it looks like it is, that it's pretty wise. You're a Republican. I don't know what that means. I mean, George Bush is a Republican. He's always trying to stop Trump. I have no interest in Boeing right now, Kaylee. I'm sorry. I don't fly very often, which tells you what you need. So now let me get my seatbelt on. Now, if you missed what my theory was with Trump, you can rewind the stream. But at 6 a.m. on the next stream, I'm going to open with that and go through it in detail. I've been thinking about it this morning, you know, and because just a lot of things are happening that just don't quite make sense. So, you know, and I think we've made some sense out of the nonsense, and now, you know, when you take all these weird things that have been happening, you put them together, it makes sense. Then you got to decide, is Trump making a good deal? And I would say he is making a good deal. Plus, he got the big, beautiful bill passed, too. And Elon may know about this, and this may be why Elon's having a fit, because he's pissed off about it. Who knows? I missed a SpaceX launch this morning. When I got up, I saw it was coming up, and the space launches, the rocket launches, are best at night. I can see the launches from my house. My house is due south of the pretty much of the launch pads at Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy. And I forgot about the launch. I was going to go out and watch it. And then I got busy doing show prep and reading articles and everything. And then I forgot and missed it. Yeah, they launch all the time. I'll catch the next one. I assume they launch so early in the morning because there's a lot less air traffic for them to have to clear the space for. It's probably easier and cheaper to do it with these early hours. The early morning launches when it's dark are the best. They look so cool. You know, you got to understand, Trump, you either trust Trump or you don't. And I trust President Trump with my life. If you're MAGA, you would too. I mean, you got to trust him. And he sees a big picture that we are never going to be privy to. Never. So when he does things, this knee-jerk reaction to just go out and criticize it, you either trust Trump or you don't, right? And do you trust him to make the right decisions for the big picture? I do. And if that's what he's done, I think it's a pretty good compromise. It's a big one, but he's trying to accomplish something huge. I mean, look at this story that Radcliffe, the CIA director, dropped a couple days ago about the Brennan, who's the ex-CIA director, and the others, and their involvement with the Russia hoax. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, we know that. No, we suspected it. What Radcliffe has done is produce the documents, the evidence, the hard evidence, right? That fits into this as well. There's a difference between having a suspicion and having physical evidence, and Radcliffe has the physical evidence. There's so much happening here. It's amazing. It really is truly amazing. Absolutely. Now, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Yeah, you got to trust. I mean, do you trust President Trump or not? If you're MAGA, you've got to trust Trump, right? If you're MAGA, and you don't trust Trump, are you really MAGA? And I'd say no. But I think if Trump is doing what I think he's doing, I think that is when you consider the size of what he's attempting to do, it's a pretty good deal. And he's made, if these things are true, he's made some big compromises, some big concessions. You know? Oh yeah, if you can't trust Trump, who can you trust, right? If you can't trust Trump, who can you trust? Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's no one else in government you can trust other than Trump. Right? No. I really think that if that's what Trump's doing, it's a very smart move. You know, the size of what he's doing is bigger than I think we can even comprehend, because we don't know. I mean, we have an idea, but I don't think we fully understand the power that the deep state have over our lives and the government and the country. I really think we don't know. We don't realize it because we don't want to know, because our freedom is an illusion. Mm-hmm. Why would MAGA go to prison? Making America great again, some type of crime? Now, I watched what happened in Los Angeles today. You know, there's so much fake reporting going on about this MacArthur Park. By the way, is that the same MacArthur Park from the song? MacArthur Park is melting in the dark. Someone's got to take the cake out of the rain. Were those border patrols trying to take the cake out of MacArthur Park? That border patrol action at MacArthur Park yesterday, I saw some videos online. MacArthur Park is a place that you and I would never go to. It's a place where all the illegal homeless are camped out. And they were clearing that out is what they were doing. I saw the local news in LA said they didn't make any arrest out there. Someone's got to get the cake out of the rain. I guess it's the Border Patrol. That's a good song. Do you know who sang MacArthur Park? Does anyone remember? Who sang MacArthur Park? There were 2 versions of it. Both of them were hit records. Anyone remember who sang MacArthur Park? There were 2 people. Both were hits. I like that song. It's a long song. Donna Summer's one of them. That's right. Donna Summer's one, but there's another one. Who's the other person? Anyone know who the other person is? That's right. Lee got it. Richard Harris. That's right. Richard Harris. Donna Summer and Richard Harris. That's right. That's right. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like both versions, but I like Richard Harris's version too. Kurt Cobain. Did Kurt Cobain do a version of MacArthur Park? I can't imagine. That's right. Trump 2032 and beyond. No doubt about it. Now, I'm not going to go through my theory again because I did in the beginning. I'm going to do it again at 6 when I go live. But I don't think Richard Harris was a one-hit wonder. Camelot had his Broadway musical was a hit. Mm-hmm. It rains pretty much every morning early here. It's rainy season in Florida. Rainy hurricane season. So it rains pretty much every day for a few minutes. Mostly early morning, late at night. I don't mind people having different viewpoints and everything, but no spamming, all right? With the spamming, the same thing over and over again. Well, we're going to find out soon. I was really surprised. What surprised me most about everything is when Trump put out that post praising Bongino and Kash Patel yesterday, after the whole day of controversy was going on. You know, and then the thing last night with Netanyahu in Ukraine, and then boom, that got my mind thinking, okay, this is what's going on. That makes perfect sense to me. Mm-hmm. And if that's the deal he made, I think it's a pretty good deal. You know, the post praising Kash Patel and Bongino late in the afternoon yesterday, that was really shocking. That was more shocking than the report on the Epstein files, tell you the truth. Because what he was doing with that is President Trump was going out of his way to, without saying it, that he approved of what they did with the Epstein files. So why would he do something like that, you know, with these other things? It's obvious. It's 2. That and getting the big, beautiful bill passed. Those 2 together is what it's all about. Mm-hmm. You know, most people that are discussing this are just too surface when they're looking at it. They're not looking deep enough into what President Trump is really doing. They're looking at, okay, what's happening right now in this second, and not looking at the big picture, which President Trump is looking at the big picture, obviously. Now, make sure you subscribe if you're new to my channel. Now, my next stream, which will be at 6 a.m. Eastern, about 40 minutes from now, I'll be live streaming. I'll be taking live calls. The toll-free number will be given out, and you'll be able to call me live on the air and share your opinions on this, whether you agree or disagree. And I'm looking forward to that, because I think my theory is a very, very good one. All right, guys. Hey, listen. Thanks for watching.